Welcome to the Big Four Accounting Firms podcast, brought to you by bigfouraccountingfirms.com. If you enjoy our show, don't forget to help us out by subscribing to this podcast, sharing it with a friend, and providing us with a review on iTunes. Check out the show notes below for the link. Thanks, and enjoy the show.
In today's podcast, we'll be continuing our Big Four compensation series, as we are going to be going over salaries at PwC and what you can expect if you choose to work at PwC. We will be covering the salaries at PwC by going over the top paying cities that we discussed yesterday in our podcast about the best paying cities for an accountant. And that way you can get an idea of what to expect from a top paying city. And I'll include a link to that podcast in the show notes. And those top paying cities are San Jose, New York, Washington, D.C., and Houston. Because I assume that if you're listening to a podcast about salaries, you are probably interested in earning a good salary. And we will also be focusing on the manager and senior associate title in each city, as those are the titles with the most employees in them and therefore have the most reliable data. And we will go over the salaries of each practice at PwC, and those practices are audit, tax, and advisory. So let's get to it. First up, we're going to go over San Jose, as it was the highest paid city in our previous podcast. And PwC San Jose, an audit manager can expect to earn $121,000 on average. Tax manager can expect to earn $120,000 on average, while an advisory manager can expect to earn $130,000 per year. Now, a senior associate in audit at San Jose PwC can expect to earn $98,000, while a senior associate in tax can expect to earn $93,000 per year. And finally, a senior associate in advisory can expect to earn $91,000. So those are the average salaries per year for PwC San Jose. Now let's go over PwC New York. At PwC New York, an audit manager can expect to earn $122,000 per year, while a tax manager can expect to earn $116,000, and an advisory manager can expect to earn $139,000 per year. A senior associate at PwC New York in the audit practice can expect to earn $105,000, while a tax senior associate can expect to earn $93,000, and finally, an advisory senior associate in PwC New York can expect to earn $92,000 per year. Okay, that was New York. And as you can see, looking at New York, an audit manager makes about the same as San Jose, but the advisory manager makes a significant amount more than San Jose, as it's $139,000 compared to $130,000 in San Jose. And another significant difference between New York and San Jose is that audit senior associates make a lot more than in New York than they do in San Jose. It's $105,000 per year as opposed to $98,000. Another trend we're seeing between these two cities is that audit associates average more than tax associates. Now, do I think that's really true? I think the only reason it's bearing out that way in the statistics is because senior associates stay in audit a lot longer before they're promoted to manager than they do in tax. In tax, there's a fast promotion track. Therefore, you have a lower salary because people are out of the role sooner. Where you have people staying in the senior associate role in audit a lot longer, and therefore you have a lot better paid senior associates in audit than in tax. Okay, let's move on to Washington, D.C. So Washington, D.C., if you're an audit manager at PwC, you can expect to earn $122,000 per year. If you're a tax manager at PwC in Washington, D.C., you can expect to earn $124,000, while an advisory manager will earn $132,000 on average. An audit senior associate at PwC in Washington, D.C. will earn just about $82,000 per year. A tax senior associate in Washington, D.C. can expect to earn $91,000 per year. An advisory senior associate can expect to earn $85,000. So what you see here is there's a pretty significant decrease in the senior associate salaries except for tax. In audit, the manager title pays about the same as San Jose in New York in Washington, D.C. And meanwhile, the tax manager role in Washington, D.C. is paid a lot better than New York and San Jose. And this is probably because all the tax policies are made in Washington, D.C., as Congress is located there, and so PwC locates their best and brightest people as it relates to tax in Washington, D.C., and that's probably why you see the uptick in the tax manager salary. Meanwhile, you have the advisory role earning about the average of New York and San Jose combined, so there's nothing too crazy there. Wanted to take a small break to let you know that our Big Four accounting firms interview course has been released. And this is a great course. It has over an hour of information in there with professionally designed slides. And this gives you everything you need to know to get the job that you want within the Big Four. It tells you about the people that you'll be interviewing with, why they joined the Big Four, what their job entails. It goes over interview questions that you're likely to face, along with research that's already been completed for you. In addition, you also get 100 interview questions in a PDF format, and you also get a free resume template. So I encourage you to check that out. The link will be in the show notes, and also go to our website, big4accountingfirms.com, and there will be links to this course on there as well. And with that, I'll let you get back to the show. And the last city we'll go over is Houston. At PwC Houston, as an audit manager, you can expect to earn $106,000, tax manager $105,000, advisory manager $107,000, an audit senior associate $78,000, a tax senior associate $77,000, and an advisory senior associate $77,000. So as you see, there's a significant drop between Houston and all the other cities. And these cities give a good taste of America overall, because San Jose is on the West Coast, New York is on the East Coast, Washington, D.C. is on the East Coast, and then Houston's centrally located in the South. So these were the highest paying cities. So if you live outside of San Jose, New York, and Washington, D.C., you can expect your salary to be a little bit lower, as we see with Houston. Before I let you go, I wanted to go over the United States for PwC overall and give a few more titles as it relates to salary here. And then we'll summarize all the data we've gone over today. So in the United States, the average salary at PwC for a partner is about $436,000. The average salary for a director is about $193,000. The average salary for a manager is $110,000 to $120,000. The average salary for a PwC senior associate is about $85,000, and the average salary for an associate is $62,000. So all of that data bears in line with what we went over, and you could really get a taste for the salaries at PwC by the information we've gone over here today. In conjunction with the podcast that we had yesterday, you can see that these numbers really line up with that podcast that we went over about the major paying cities. And the best paying city is going to be New York for the most part. Although if you're in tax, and you're going to be in the manager role, you might want to locate to Washington, D.C. if you want to make a little bit more money. And advisory in New York pays very well for the manager role. And if you want to be a senior associate in advisory, San Jose also pays very well. But in the most part, if you don't want to think about it that much and you just want to get paid well, New York is a good bet across the board. So that's basically where the data bears out, is that New York is the best city for not only accountants, but also people working at PwC. So make sure to subscribe to this podcast. That way you can get our full compensation series. And in the last part of the series that we'll be going over, we will tell you, the best practice by city, by firm. So for example, if you want to work in advisory, which firm should you work for in what city? And we'll try and summarize the data that way. So make sure to subscribe to this podcast so you can get our compensation series and stay up to date on, which city is the best and which firm pays the best for each practice. We'll also be building a comprehensive page with all this data and that. And once we do that, we'll be sharing the link with everybody. So it's another reason you should subscribe to this podcast. Thanks.
We appreciate your help in growing this podcast so we can continue to bring you the best Big Four content possible. You could help us out by providing a review on iTunes, sending us an email with your comments, and don't forget to share with your friends. There's a link below in the show notes. That's our show for today. Thanks for listening and have a great day.